Well, a third issue or a third element in the social change formula is what I call empowerment, which is my core competency. I've spent 25 years looking at this word from every angle you can imagine and help bring some of this notion into the culture with my wife, Gail Straub. And what I mean by that is many things, but to simplify it, fundamentally is the change strategy needs to invite people to take responsibility personally for the change, as opposed to look to someone outside of them to do it for them, be that government, be that, you know, usually it's government, but it's somebody else, a nonprofit. Who is legislating, lobbying to create a new law, to get something to happen, or to get maybe business to make the changes so that, they're the accountable party. But what we're looking at here is how do I take direct responsibility? So if we're looking at the state of climate change and the fact that we're now facing this grave threat as a human species, it's one thing to say what government needs to do, it's another thing to say what business needs to do, but it's yet a third thing to say what do I need to do? Which is not to in any way suggest that the other people contributing to a problem aren't important and have to play their part, or don't have to play their part, but what can I do? So all the strategies that I've designed have been targeted to enabling individuals to take direct responsibility. So that's one thing by what I mean by empowerment. Another thing is, and probably the most profound element, is giving people the tools, building what I call behavioral change tools to help them actually change their behavior. So it's, again, one thing to know what I should do. It's another thing to be able to actually do it. And so all the programs I build are really designed and well crafted to actually change behavior and measurably change behavior over time, and we've done longitudinal studies to show that they have achieved that end. Right now, a project I'm working on is, again, in New York City. It's called the All Together Now program, creating a resilient New York City, building by building, block by block, and we've got financing through Senator Hillary Clinton, and we got funding from the Department of Justice and then from a large foundation, and we're working all around New York City to see if we can make New York City resilient in the face of whatever may come. And so we found that people prior to our program had thought a lot about taking behavioral change to prepare themselves. They certainly were aware of the risk, but they hadn't. All the research said that they had high levels of awareness, but they hadn't acted on it. Interestingly enough, one of the things we've learned is that people have this interesting belief, which is, I've thought about it, therefore I've done it. Or I've done one thing, therefore I've done all the important things. So in the emergency preparedness program, we had 32 distinct behaviors. In our environmental program, we had about, I think it was about 45 behaviors. We now have a program that we have been reissuing that we're very excited about, our climate change program. We have 17 behaviors to reduce their CO2 footprint. One of the challenges in this work, the biggest challenge we've had to face, was how do you get people to reprioritize their time, their busy lives, to do stuff that they know that they want to do, they think they should do, but don't do. And what we found was that people needed to have co-benefits besides just the content issue. So besides just doing the right thing for the environment, or besides just doing the right thing to make my household prepared for an emergency, or besides just trying to build a safer, healthier block to live on, what people found that got them over the edge or over the resistance was actually meeting their neighbors. And as they got to meet their neighbors, they found themselves attracted to the content because it provided these co-benefits of meeting their neighbors, and they became the peer support group. So they got to know their neighbors through this process. And the greatest resistance we had to overcome was their fear that they would be seen as, somehow imposing upon their neighbors to do something. But in fact, what we found was that their neighbors were very grateful because the neighbors wanted to meet their neighbors also. The fourth principle in the social change formula is what I call replicable and scalable. So one of the reasons why laws work well is they're replicable and scalable, or certainly scalable. You know, you pass a law at a state level and it works for everybody, and or national level. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but you can include everybody through that law. One of the challenges with a community-based approach is you have to design excuse me, you have to design a strategy that can be scaled up. And that is easier said than done. And most examples are experiments of one when there is success. So one of the key parts of the social change formula is building replicability and scalability. And a key to the replicability and scalability is that you design everything so that you can train others to deliver it. So if you design something in Portland, Oregon, you can then get it to go to other cities. So for example, we built our environmental program in Portland, Oregon, and we scaled it to 25 cities in the US and several hundred cities in Europe. Same basic fundamental program, customized for that city. Easy to do. You build a program in Portland or in Philadelphia or in New York City on one block or in one building, you can scale it to many buildings and many blocks within those cities, which is what we're doing with our emergency preparedness program. So that's a very key thing. So scalability means how you design it so that you build a model that can be brought to scale. And replicability means that you've designed a training mechanism so that you can train the trainer. We just did a program to train the trainer in New York City, and we had piloted with 5,000 people. In fact, we were critiqued because we'd gotten a pretty good size investment. We only had 5,000 people. And my feedback to people was, be patient because we're building a replicable, scalable model. And we have to work very hard to build the tools at that level of fine-tuning and granular design. And the next level out, we now have trained 20 community groups, and their target is 1.5 million New Yorkers, or 20% of the city. So very quickly, but if we hadn't invested in building the tools in that robust a way, they couldn't have scaled. And they're in that process now. I can't say that they are at that level, but we are now in that process. So, that's what I mean by scalability and replicability.